My name is Rionne McAvoy. I wrestle professionally as Rionne Fujiwara, and I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia. So until about 16, I was doing karate in Australia. When I graduated high school, I went straight to university, and one day I was talking to my friend, and as a joke I said, like, you know, if you lend me the money to come to Japan, I'll go. And as a joke, and he said, yeah, I'll put the money in your bank account tomorrow, and as long as you pay me back, I'll do it. I was like, oh, all right. And that was in the year 2000, and it's 2019, I'm still here. I had never been interested in Japanese anime. I'd never seen anything on TV about Japan before, and I really didn't know what to expect. And I can never forget the first time I went to Shibuya and saw the Scramble crossing and the lights. I was like, oh my God, because I come from a small town in Australia. Making the mistakes was the fun of being, not speaking the language when I first got here, getting on the trains and not knowing, there's no Google Maps, there was no internet on the phones at the time, and making all these mistakes and getting off at the wrong station and all this kind of stuff. It was all part of the fun. When I first came to Japan, I taught English in junior high schools, in elementary schools. I went from being a ALT, assistant language teacher, I moved to the Bank of America, and then decided one day that I wanted to be a pro wrestler. So to crack into the Japanese wrestling market as a foreigner is extremely difficult. It's incredibly hard. And I came across a group that was kind of small but had an amazing guy who had been in WWE called Tajiri. And I got into that purely because of my martial arts background, but because I spoke Japanese mostly. But I quickly realized that when I got into this wrestling group, it wasn't what I thought it would be, and the training was the most brutal training I've ever been through in my life. There were times, just because I couldn't do certain things, that they would actually literally kick me. Like there was no plan around, they would kick me and say like, what the hell are you doing? A lot of people say wrestling is fake. It's scripted, it's choreographed, but as a lifelong martial artist, I can tell everyone that the training that I've done is the hardest I've ever done in my life. And being hurt, not being able to get out of bed sometimes in the morning because of my injuries, my back, my neck, stuff like that. And I wanted to quit so many times, just like the way that they treat, the way that, like in the West, you're not allowed to put a hand on someone that you're training. You're not allowed to slap them around anymore. Maybe in the old days, I don't know. But in Japan, I think a lot of that still goes on. And there was so many times where I just wanted to quit and throw it all in. And I'm so happy I didn't, because they were the hardest times in my life, the first almost a year of training. And obviously the highlight was debuting, like living my dream. Like this is something I wanted to do since I was a kid. And you're here, you're behind the curtain, just before you ever come, for the very first time, before you ever come out, and you're nervous as hell. And then your music pops and you're like, oh my God, this is it, it's happening. My debut, and like goosebumps, and people, and when they announce your name before you come out, and like everyone's there, like your friends, your family, everyone that is there to support you, and it's just like, what a rush. I mean, I would go back and live that day all over again. The biggest highlight for me would have been being on Keiji Muto. He's one of the most legendary wrestlers in the world. Being on his 30th anniversary show at the Sumo Arena in Ryogoku, there's about 10,000 people there. Just being there and being in front of such a large audience was just truly mind-blowing. And I just thought, like, how did this happen? Like, a kid like me with 200,000 people in his hometown most is here. If you want to come to Japan to be a wrestler, unless you know someone here, unless you have connections, your best bet, I would say, is do what I did and come to Japan, work, be an English teacher, and seek out somewhere on the side to train.